Welcome back, Tigers! In this video, we will review how to automate the creation of opportunity contact role records from an opportunities related tasks, events, and emails. Measuring campaign influence requires sales teams to add people as contact roles on their ops. This is an administrative burden for them, and they may forget to add all of the people they are engaging with. Instead of considering this a training issue, let's automate as much as we can for them. We will learn how to create 3 flows that will automatically add people related to their tasks, events, and emails as a contact role on the op. This video assumes you do have the feature called Allow Users to Relate Multiple Contacts to Tasks and Events, also known as Shared Activities. If you do not have this setting enabled, please see our other video called Automate Op Contact Role Creation from Activity Records related to a single contact. If you're not sure, we'll show you how to check the settings in your org. Let's hop over to Salesforce and learn how to set up these flows. All right, so our first step we need to do is check out our settings. You go to Setup, you'll go to Activity Settings, and then you're going to look for this setting right here that says Allow Users to Relate Multiple Contacts to Tasks and Events. If this setting is not enabled, you need to go check out our other video that is for automating contact roles for single contacts on a task or event. I'm going to go ahead and enable this setting and click Submit. Now, if you did not have the setting enabled, it can't be disabled unless you open a ticket up with support. So we're going to give it a couple of minutes to be enabled, and then we'll show you how to set up the flow. All right, so we're going to create a new flow. This is a record triggered flow. On the task, you can make it so that it runs when it's created or updated. That is up to you. And then we want the what ID to start with 006. This means that we want the task to be related to an opportunity. Then we're going to, and you can set this to say only when a record is updated to meet these requirements so that it doesn't run for every task that is generated. Then we're going to do a get records, and we're going to get the opportunity contact roles that are related to the opportunity that the task is related to. Okay, and then we're going to loop the opportunity contact roles. And we can see here, I can't see it in the loop. That means I forgot to say all records here. And let's try that loop again. And there we go, we can now loop those. All right, then I'm going to loop each of these records, and I'm going to assign the contact ID to a text collection variable. I'm going to create a new text collection. It's going to be a text and will allow multiple values. And we're going to add the contact ID from this loop. Our next step is to get the task relation, actually the task who relation variables. So the task who relation, not variables, records. The task who relation object contains the relationship between the leader contact and the task. We're going to say the task ID equals the ID of the task that triggered this flow. We want the type to be a contact. So there's a type field on this object, and it's either lead or contact. And then The relation ID, so the relation ID is the ID of the lead or contact, is not in our text collection variable. So this means that the person who is related to the task is not already an opportunity contact role, because we don't want to add them twice. And then we'll select all records here. Next, we're going to loop these task who relation records. And we're going to assign the contact ID to a text collection. We're going to create a new variable. And we're going to add all of the contact IDs from the task who relation records to this text collection. So we want the relation ID, because remember that relation ID is the ID of the lead or the contact. Next, we want to do a get records on the contact object, because we don't want to add any contacts that have an internal domain to our contact roles. So we're going to get contacts with internal domain. You can skip this step if this is just not a scenario that's ever going to happen in your org. We just see it happen a lot due to people having third-party applications that are automatically creating contacts or tasks and events. So we're going to look for the ID of the contact to be in our variable, the text collection variable of the task who relation contact IDs. And then we're also going to look for the email address to be an internal domain. So email contains, and you'll put your internal domain here. And then we want all records there. And then we want to see if anybody exists in this get records, because we can skip a loop if we don't need to loop anybody. All right, so this decision element is going to check to see if any internal contacts exist. So we're going to look for this to be is null, is false. And we'll set that to no. All right, so if internal contacts do exist, then we need to loop those. And then we're going to remove those from our task who relation text collection variable, because that variable is what we're going to use to create our opportunity contact roles. So this assignment will remove those IDs. So we'll say that for our task who relation contact IDs, we want to remove the ID of the contact that is an internal contact. Then we're going to loop our text collection variable here. This is right here. Then we're going to do an assignment. Here's where we're going to assign the opportunity contact role fields, and we're going to add them to a collection. So this means we need to create a new variable called op contact role record. This is going to be a record variable. It's going to be a single record variable, not a collection, on the opportunity contact role object. And then we're going to assign the fields. So our contact ID is going to be the current item in the loop, which is this one down here from our text collection, not this one up here, because we're looping this text collection right here. Next, we need to set the opportunity ID, which is related to the task that triggered this flow. It is the what ID. We need to set the role. And you can decide to create a specific role for the contact role records that you're automatically creating. That's up to you. You might want to keep track of how many you're automating for your sales team. So you can say, I automated thousands of records for you, which will happen. All right, so we're going to create a collection variable here, a record collection. It's going to collect these opportunity contact role records. And we're going to add our record variable to it. Okay. One more element. Now we need to create those opportunity contact roles. We'll set that to multiple, and then we'll create from our collection. We'll click save, and now we need to give it a name. You can call it whatever you want. All right, now we'll activate our flow, and we're ready to test. All right, so we're going to go to the front end of Salesforce where we've got an opportunity here. We've got only one contact role for Morticia Adams, and we're going to create a task that is related to more than one contact and see if our contact roles are created. We have Wednesday Adams, Gomez Adams, and Uncle Fester, who we are going to add. Now, Wednesday has a Blue Ninja's email address, so we'll be able to validate that Wednesday will not be created as a contact role, but we want to see that Gomez and Uncle Fester are created as contact roles. We'll click save here, and then we do see that they are added. All right, let's go create our event flow now. All right, now let's create our event flow. Now you can start from scratch, or we can clone our task flow. They're really similar. There's the same fields being used on the task and event. So we're going to show you how you can just clone this and modify a couple of the components. So we'll do a save as, we'll do a new flow. We'll change the word task to event. Now the first thing we'll do is we'll change the entry object to be event. Then all of our contact stuff is the same, our contact role. Now this is the next thing we need to change because we need to get the event who relation instead of the task who relation. And then the event ID is going to be the ID of the event that triggered this flow. The type is going to be contact, so there's a type field on the event who relation that contains either a lead or a contact, so we'll just type in the word contact there. And then our relation ID, we don't want it to be in that opportunity contact role collection that we created. So this one right here, var op contact role contact IDs. And we want this to be for all records. And we want to update the name up here. Okay, next we need to go to our loop, and it's going to loop the event who relation records. So that is correct. And then we need to assign the contact IDs to our collection. So our collection is called var task who relation. So let's just go ahead and change that name. Okay, so now that should show the correct name. Then we're going to get our contacts with the internal domain. So let's just check that. So that variable still the same. We're all good there. We check to see if the contact exists. We remove the contact IDs from the event who relation. Let's just change that name. Okay. And then we need to loop the event who relation. And then we're going to assign the op contact role fields and add to a collection. So this should all be fine. Yep. This is the what ID. And then we'll create our contact roles. So that should be everything that we need to change. Let's see if we got everything. We'll click save and then we'll click activate. And now we're ready to test. We're going to come back to this opportunity that we were using for testing for our tasks. And we're going to delete our contact roles for Gomez and Uncle Fester. I'll also delete the task. Okay, now we're ready to create our event. I will add Gomez, Wednesday, and Uncle Fester again. And then we would expect to see contact roles for Gomez and Uncle Fester and not one for Wednesday, which that is correct. So our event flow is working. Now we're ready for our email message flow. All right, now we're ready to create our email message flow. So we'll create a record triggered flow. Our object is email message. And you can fire this only when the record is created. Email messages can't be updated if I'm not mistaken. Now we want to look for the criteria related to ID. Starts with 006. Then we're going to get our current opportunity contact roles. This is exactly the same as what we did in our task and event flows. And our opportunity ID is equal to our related to ID on our email message. Then we're going to loop our contact roles. Oh, we can see I can't loop anything here. The reason for that is I did not make this say all records. There we go. Now we can loop. There it is. And then we will assign the contact IDs to a collection variable. This will be a text, and we're going to add multiple values, and then we will add the contact ID from our loop right in there. Let's save this. We'll give it a nice label, and then we'll give it a nice description. Okay, next we need to query our email message relation records. We're going to do a get records. And our criteria is going to be email message ID equals the ID of the email message record that invoked this flow. There's a field called relation object type on the email message relation record that tells you whether or not it's a lead or contact. So we want to filter for that. And then our relation ID, we don't want it to be in our collection variable. So we don't want to pull any contacts that are already a contact role. We only want them to be a contact, and they need to be related to our email message. We're going to do all contacts here. And then we'll click save. Now we need to loop these email message relation records. And we're going to add these values to a collection variable, add the contact IDs. We're going to create a new text collection variable. And we're going to add the relation ID in our email message relation record. So the relation ID has the ID of the lead or contact that the email message relation record is related to. So we'll choose that. All right, so now all our contact IDs are going to be added to this text collection variable. Now, this is a step that you can choose whether or not you want to do. We're going to do a get contacts with internal domain. So this is so we're not adding internal contacts as contact roles. All right, so our ID is going to be in our email message relation collection variable, and the email contains, and this is where you put your internal domain. So we'll put Blue Ninjas there. If you have multiple domains, you can just add your ORs. And then we want to get all the records. Next, we need to decide if internal contacts exist on this email. So we will check to see if our get contacts is null. If contacts with internal domain do exist, we want to do a loop. We want to loop contacts with internal domain. And we want to remove them from our text collection variable. Okay, so we're going to do our email message relation collection, and we're going to remove the ID of the contact here. Okay, so if somebody has an internal domain, we're going to remove them from our email message relation contact list. Next, we're going to now loop our email message relation records in that text collection variable. So we're going to loop this variable here. We're going to loop through all these contact IDs because we want to use these to create our op contact roles. We're going to do an assignment here. We're going to assign the op contact role fields and we're going to add them to a collection. So we need to create a new record variable that's going to hold the values for this record so we can create them. So this is going to be a record. It's going to be an opportunity contact role, and it's, don't check the collection box. It's a single record. Okay, so now we're going to say that the contact ID equals the loop, and it's this one down here, the current loop from your text collection variable, not the one up here. Then our contact role opportunity ID is going to be the related to ID on the email message record that invoked the flow. Our role, and this is where you can specify whatever role you want. We're using influencer. And then we're going to add all of these records to a collection. This is going to be a record. It's going to allow multiple values, and it's going to be on the opportunity contact role object. We're going to add the op contact role record. Your next step is to do a create records. And we're going to create the opportunity contact role records from our collection. And that's it. Oof. That'll work. All right, we'll activate this. And now we're ready to test it. All right, we're gonna go back to our opportunity that we were testing with, and let's delete Gomez and Fester. Uncle Fester. All right, now we're gonna send an email to Gomez and Fester in Wednesday. Gomez, Uncle Fester, and Wednesday. So we'll send test email. All right, so what we should see happen is that Gomez and Uncle Fester get added as a contact role and Wednesday does not. And we do. All right, that's all working. We're all set. You've just automated the contact roles for your sales teams. They should love you for it. That's it. That's a wrap. We hope you enjoyed this video and it showed you how to successfully automate opportunity contact roles for your sales teams. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Blue Tiger Academy. We're always looking for new business problems to solve. Let us know in the comments if you have any new challenges for us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.